Alright, Shalom. Double on this today, apostles of GMS. Honest you brothers that be pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. I wanted to do a quick short video based on some information that I stumbled across. And it's something that we say in passing sometimes, and you know, when opportunity is given we get into it, but I thought I'd do a little sit down on it. So this is all, it's going to be on based around the prophecy in Ezekiel the 4th chapter on the 2nd verse, where it talks about they shall eat their food defiled amongst the Gentiles. Now this is not the whole in-depth, the fullness of it. This is just the tip of the iceberg to coin the phrase. All right. It says crop yield. I'll start it off on here on this particular article. I'm not reading it in any particular order, and the vast majority of these articles you can easily find on the internet. So I'm not going to get all up into each facet of it, because the scripture does say, all right, that we're gonna eat poison and live, man, and that's what we're eating right now, man. We're in a state of eating poison. The food that we eating ain't really good for us, man. That's why if you're small, you can't get big. If you're big, you can't get small. All right. That's why our mental capacity is not as its fullest right now, because there's a major link between what you're eating and how you're feeling to how your brain is functioning. Right, when you go into serotonin and oxytocin, which are the hormones released by the pineal gland. All right, for the pineal gland to be fully functional, it needs to be decalcified, and for that to happen, you're gonna be eating certain kind of foods, man, and to maintain like decalcified state. In other words, that living state. All right, that's why it also says in the scriptures, man, this is like living waters, because when the elders bring this information out and you start eating it, and then you actually start eating the stuff that they're saying, then you become more alive, man. You become more in tune with the spirit. All right. So it says here, farmers today can grow 2 to 3 times as much grain, right, fruits, vegetables on a plot of land as they could 50 years ago. So going back 50 years, right, one plot of land you're growing twice, 3 times as much, right? But here's the catch. It says, but the nutritional quality of the crops has declined, right? And that also goes back to what the fact that this man's the devil, all right? He doesn't practice what the scripture prescribes, which is known as crop. I've got the exact term for it, but when you have this plot of land, you know, the scripture says, it's roughly quoting it from the top of my head. You know, you farm that land for about 7 years, and you let the land rest for 7 years, something to that effect, all right? But that's what Esau doesn't do, man. He doesn't. It's land Sabbath, man. He doesn't practice the land Sabbath. All right. It says here, nutrition has declined according to a new report. The Organic Center, a group based in Boulder, Colorado, to get our recommended daily allowance of nutrients, we have to eat many more slices. Many more slices of bread, right, today than people had eaten in the past. So he's just quoting, it's not necessarily bread, because bread ain't necessarily good for you. But what he's saying here is to get that same nutrition out of just that bread, because really, even though bread is unhealthy, when you go back in the day, let's say 50 years, man, it would have had more nutrition, it would have had more value to it. All right, and that's also part of the reason why a lot of people eat food and they're hungry straight away, man. So they put on that weight, but their food they ain't gaining that nutrients. Right, so they're getting all the products that make them heavy and fat, right? But they're not getting the nutrients that makes them healthy. All right. So it says there, to get the recommended daily allowance of nutrients, we have to eat many more slices of bread today than people had to eat in the past. It says report author and Wordsworth Institute food expert Brian Hawali. And this is what he says. It says, less nutrition per calorie consumed affects consumers much in the same way as monetary inflation. All right. So the food you're eating, what he's saying there is less nutrition you're getting, and you're still buying them fruits. All right. It's just like how you're getting your paycheck at work, but your bills are going back up and up and up. Man. All right. It says that is, we have more food, but it's worth less in terms of nutritional value. So you got all of this extra food that they're producing, but it's worth much less. right? And that's pretty much the point I wanted to hit on that. I'll read this paragraph if there's any meat in it. It says, according to a report, Still No Free Lunch, right? Food scientists have compared nutritional levels of modern day crops with historic and generally lower yielding ones. It says today's food produces 10 to 25% less zinc, less iron, right? Which iron is important for the blood. Zinc, protein, and calcium, and vitamin C, and other nutrients, and also important metals that the body uses, all right, to function properly. It says other nutrients, and the study shows researchers from Washington State University who analyzed 63 spring wheat cultivators grown in 1842 and 2003 and found 11% a decline in iron content, 16% decline in copper. It says a 25% decline in zinc and 50% decline in selenium. Right, so that goes to show you just how bad how bad things are getting right now. When we're talking about between 1842 and 2003, the white man had already been in power for about 200 to 300 years, by around 1800s. Man, he came into power around what they call the Middle Ages, the 1500s, right? You still had strongholds of Jake up until the 1600s and that. Right, King James and all of that up in Europe, and we still had some strongholds here and there, but around about the 1600s upwards, man, these were starting really just fucking up the whole earth. All right, let me go to this this one right here. It says declining food nutrients, and in fact, a precept just come into my mind. Let me jump on it real quick. In the book of Micah, right. Arise ye, for it is polluted. Alright, here we go. Alright, this is going to be I believe it's in the book of Micah, right, 2 and 10. Alright, it says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. So this ain't our rest to be all eating and enjoying, so-called enjoying ourselves in that. All right, it says here, arise ye and depart, right? For this is not your rest, right? Because it is polluted, and it shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction, man. So even with a sword destruction, all right. And maybe next time I might go into the implications of eating food like this or something like that, but just for this lesson and just for the purposes of this lesson, I'm just going to touch on not necessarily the reasons, but certainly what's happening in terms of the food declining and some of the toxins that are in the food. And you'll be surprised, man. It's a lot of poison out there, man. Right? It says declining, and this is just a supporting statement from the previous article. Some supporting statements from it. It says declining nutrition of fruits and vegetables. It says government analysts indicates many minerals less abundant, right? Results from research in American diet habits haven't been good. We're consuming more calories than ever, as mentioned in the previous article. It says many of them are unsaturated fats, right? And as a result, we're getting fatter and probably unhealthier. But if a person should decide to improve his health, his or her diet, rather more, it says, and eat the foods doctors and dietitians recommend for better health, will it be enough? It says actually there is some evidence that fruit and vegetable available to most people today don't contain the nutritional value they had 40 to 50 years ago. So they say eat 5 a day. You might have to eat like 10 a day to be healthy, but obviously that's just a statement of being facetious, just to tell you, man, that really this goes back to what the scripture says, man. Right? If the Most High ain't gonna come back, there ain't gonna be no flesh to be left to save, man. All right? Because you can't even eat food, right? That's good and beneficial to your body, man. All right? I go to specific produce identifies as losing nutritional value. It says why did this happen? It says as best as Davis can determine the nutritional value in some produce, was diluted through faster methods of major agro farms, right? Companies employed to grow high yield crops to meet customer demands. So one of the reasons is one of the reasons this is happening is the fact that people wanted these government corporations wanted that fruit to be grown more faster and faster, and get people placed into a state of persistently purchasing food, and really most of the food that people eat, buying that, man, they throw it away. All right. So imagine if you wasn't throwing all of that food away and you was eating, what's right, you wouldn't have the same need for that fast turnover with that food. Hence, you should have more nutritional food. Hence, it will fill you up quicker, right? Now, I'll just hit this "Did you know" box. It says, according to the Center of Disease Control, right, and Prevention, only 11% of Americans meet the USDA's guidelines for eating 5 to 9 servings of fresh fruit and vegetables daily, man. All right. It says 93% of Americans don't have enough vitamin E. 50% don't have enough magnesium. 31 don't have enough vitamin C. Right. And really, man, you ain't supposed to be making 5 to 9 servings of fresh fruit in that, man. You think about it. That's a lot of fruit. We're talking about, we're talking about 35 pieces of different fruit and veg a week, right? On top of your, regular dietary needs. You shouldn't have to eat that. Matter of fact, when you go into the scriptures, man, it says something like something to the effect of when the earth was fully blooming, man, it would have taken 3 strong men to carry a cluster of grapes, man, because the fruit was all pumping. Right? So 3 to 5, man, that one grape one of them would have done you nice for a whole day, man. All right. Going to show you just how defiled the earth is. All right. Let me jump to the next article real quick. And this one was a little interesting because this is kind of tied in the same thing, but this is more the toxins that they put in. The toxins that they have right here. That's going to be in the food. All right. It says this is the first one. Right, so they put this poison in there, which is called yellow 5 and yellow 6. All right, which it says here this cheesy neon orange color is in most store-bought mac and cheese, and is a result of dangerous dyes made from coal tar, man. All right, it says, which is also, let me make this bigger on the screen so I don't have to squint in that, Make it a little bigger than that. We go bigger? We go bigger, did it? Oh, the damn thing's crushed now. Alright, so bear with me whilst the computer returns back. Right, it says the cheese. Oh, there we go. I'm going too big now. So like, sometimes you just roll with this, man. No preparation or anything like that, man. Right? It says, let me get that squeak knife. There we go. It says, which is also used as a seal coat and preservative, preserves products like shiny industrial floors, right? As well as kills bugs like lice in shampoo, man. So that's what they be using to get that color in there, man. Which is all poison. Right, the coloring agent blue 1 and blue 2, right? I'll read this and says similar to yellow 5 and yellow 6, right? This unnatural highlighter hues, right, offers a rainbow of health risks, including messing with the cognitive functions of hyperactive kids. It says who perform poorly in tests and measure their abilities to recall images. It says according to US studies. Right? So, I mean, really, if you see something that looks like that, man, you ain't really supposed to be eating that, man. To be drinking that, man. Alright? There's nothing that looks healthy about that, man. Alright? You don't find this color out there in the natural world, man. That's that modified food that they easily be pushing out there. Alright? Now jump a few ones. You know, that Coca-Cola and that, man, that's unhealthy as shit, right? And I wanted to get one particular one. You know, all of this is in you know online, so you can find it for yourself. All right. Now this one was pretty good, and it says this is a banned ingredient. It says arsenic found in chicken feed. Right now, arsenic is that's poison, man. Right, it's like a high class poison that they used to kill people, man. Right, it says in exchange for picker, all right, plumper poultry which appears fresher, you get exposure to this cancer causing toxin. Traces of inactive ingredients include Prozac, right? May also be in some caged chicken systems, right? A solution to helping them deal with their poor living conditions, man. Right? So, man, that Esau's a fucking devil, man. Right? So to deal with the situation of them, these chickens being in them poor living conditions, man, he gives them antidepressants, man, effectively, man. And then them antidepressants, you know, because they be persistently feeding them with that, man, right? It gets concentrated, and then when it goes up to the top of the food chain, man, guess who it attacks the most, man? Right? You people out there. All right. Now, I was gonna get. I mean, I guess I could do, but this is like a do's and don't list of foods that you should be staying away from, and all that. But that's pretty much self-explanatory, right? Like, you ain't supposed to be really I mean, at the end of the day, the scripture says, man, the Lord's going to protect his servants, all right? If your situation is in a way you can't, there's only so much you can do, there's only so much you can do, man. All right? But it says you're supposed to be staying away from them processed meats, right there. Right? It says it leads to cancer. It says, stick to low mercury fish. All right? It says American farmed tilapia, right, instead of swordfish or tuna, right? It says reduce the amount of canned food you consume. It says cans commonly lined with bisphenol A, an organic compound that, according to the Land study, may be associated with diabetes and heart disease. It says cut back on meat and dairies, all right? It says although many of these toxins have been banned, right, they are still present in the soil. Reducing your intake of animal products is also more friendly for the environment. So they had a list of all of these toxins that they were feeding the animals and that, but it's still in, it's still in the soil. So it says skip sodas and artificial sweetness, right, and choose farm fish carefully and all that. So it's just a little things you want to stay avoid and stay away from, but. I say stay away from artificially colored foods, and you definitely supposed to be staying away from that, because that's all poisons. It says like candy, maraschino, right, cherries, gelatin, and gelatin's that pork right there. And it says mice and rats exposed to blue 1 and blue 2, and red 3 and yellow 6 suffered from brain and adrenal gland, thyroid, and kidney tumors, man, tumors. All right, and this is from like stuff you find in kids' sweets and all of that, man. So these at least they're devils, man. Right? Or they're fucking devils, man. All right, and then there's the thing on fluoridation in water, man. All right, to where really that's just to keep the spirit down, because that fluoride in the water, right, calcifies the pineal gland, which keeps you away from being, it's like your spiritual connection, man. Right, your third eye. So so they keep these people blind. But hey, what does the scripture say in Romans 11, chapter on the 7th verse, man? The elect, Israel have not obtained that which is seeketh for, but the election have obtained. Right, and let me wrap it up with some precepts. It says, this is Isaiah 14 and 12. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground? It says that didst weaken the nations, because he's weakening the nations by not only his military, but by the food that he, and just his way of living, man. Because when the nations see how he's living, man, they want to live like that. So they want to have the McDonald's and the Coca-Cola and all of that, man. All right, but what's going to happen is when they have that in their countries, man, the morale of them cities go down, man. All right, the children then start acting crazy and all that, man. All right, and let me go to the next one. This is Isaiah, the 24th chapter, and the 5th verse. It says, "The earth also, all right, is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed laws and changed ordinances and broken the everlasting covenant." And that's Esau right there. All right, and last but not least, this is Ezekiel the 4th chapter and the 13th verse. It says, "And the Lord said, even thus shall the children eat their defiled bread amongst among the Gentiles, with I will drive them." In fact, when you go into just bear with me, because I'm trying to remember a story, and it might be this one. Right, I believe this is where the same story. Yeah, here we go. Right, here we go. And it says, I'll start from the 11th verse. And it says, "Thou shalt drink also water by measure 6 parts of an hin, and from time to time shalt thou drink, and thou shalt eat it as barley cakes, and thou shalt bake it with the dung that cometh out of a man in their sight." Right, this is the Lord basically saying, eat man's dung, man, eat man's shit. All right, it says, "And thus saith the Lord, and the Lord saith, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their bread defiled amongst the Gentiles."